Joining us to talk about digital transformation of the enterprise, Greg Gorbach, Vice President and Head of ARC's Digital Transformation Group. Greg, welcome.
Thank you.
Greg, let's talk about trends that you're seeing in the digital enterprise. What would you say they are?
Well, there are four big trends that come to mind. First is Internet of Things generally. So when we talk about Internet of Things at ARC, we talk about connectivity from sensors and devices all the way up through networking and the cloud and analytics. So there's a lot going on in that general space. So that's number one. Number two probably is analytics and machine learning itself. So we're talking to our clients more and more all the time now, fielding questions about what's machine learning, how do I deal with predictive analytics, what's the impact on my operations. So that's the second one. Third is platforms. So we have the advent of modern 21st century software platform as a service that's sweeping through the industry. I say sweeping through, really it's causing a lot of confusion. It's coming in, but a lot of the, especially on the OT side, the industrial companies are struggling to figure it out. And then finally, cybersecurity. So we're seeing a lot's happening in cybersecurity. It's been a big topic for a couple of years, even bigger now probably. But we're seeing some progress with things like the Industrial Internet Consortium's release of their security framework for industrial internet. So lots happening there.
Well, clearly four very, very big, major, important areas. But I don't know, I think I would have thought, I would have heard you mention something about additive manufacturing or augmented reality. Anything going on in those spaces?
Yeah, those are big topics as well. Additive manufacturing is coming on stronger than anyone would have believed only a couple years ago. You know, it's we're seeing new technologies in terms of the way it's being deployed on the end of robot arms. We're seeing new materials that's sort of rippling through the chemical companies as they're developing new ways to feed these units so you can print new things. We're printing lighter, stronger, better parts than we could make manually in the past. So it's really radically changing things. And we're seeing things like companies, instead of stocking spare parts in a warehouse, they're printing them on demand. So that's a radical change. They're experimenting with this, but it looks like it's got a life ahead of it. So additive manufacturing, 3D printing, that's really hot. The other one, augmented reality, shows a lot of promise. It's early days. We're seeing the technologies come on pretty strong. We're seeing applications in maintenance, in warehousing, and in assembly. So there's some early grounds, but it's probably going to be another couple of years before that takes off big.
APM, asset performance management, anything of note taking place in that space?
Well, this continues to be a really hot area. It's been going for a couple of years. We've got the notion of predictive maintenance driven by predictive analytics kind of thing. So that's with that kind of application, we're seeing a possibility to improve your asset uptime and thereby your overall plant performance. So that whole asset area, depending on how you look at it, you might also apply the term to improving your production operations as well. So there's a lot going on there too, because as we see a lot of new entries with IoT solutions in the marketplace, and many times those solutions are focused on asset performance management out of the box.
You know, you mentioned depending upon how you apply a term, that applies to something called the edge. Let's just make sure that we know exactly what we're talking about when we refer to the edge. Give us your definition of that, and then comment on what's going on there.
When it comes to the edge, we've definitely been seeing a lot of energy about that this year as well, and expect to see more going on. Two things are behind it, I think. First, In the industrial space, our conventional model has been to think about connecting the equipment with software and to the rest of the systems. So we know that model. But if you think about it today, we've got goggles and smart tools and smart containers and smart carriers and robots, and we've got all kinds of video. We've got all kinds of things in the plant that are at the edge of the network that need to provide data. We've got powerful new analytics tools that can use that data. So that whole concept of edge is expanding quite a lot in that area. So that's number one. Number two, the possibility of deploying your analytics. It's been traditionally seen as a cloud thing. Take advantage of taking data from the edge, sending it to the cloud. But now we're seeing more and more use cases for putting those the analytics at the edge or in the network itself or in other machines. So it's kind of a distributed model. So it's edge and fog computing or fog analytics as well.
At the top of the interview, you mentioned that there were four really main trends that were going on in the digital enterprise, one of which was platforms. I want to return to that for just a moment and ask you to drill down just a little bit on and expand on that whole issue of platforms. What would you say?
Well, a lot of companies now are moving to a model of building software and deploying software on a platform as a service. And that platform itself is becoming a point of competition amongst the suppliers. So we don't know quite how that's going to play out yet, but we do know that we're seeing platforms that are being built and offered to the public. So companies will build a platform and an application on top of it and then sell the application. They'll build a platform and make that available to their partners. So we see partners, an ecosystem growing with lots of partner applications on individual platforms. And then the users also can put their application or build their own applications on the same platform. So once that gets critical mass, then it grows and feeds on itself. So we're seeing a lot of the big players sort of go head to head on the platform versus platform right now. So that'll only continue as we see going forward this year.
Greg is head of digital transformation. If anybody at ARC is involved in an exciting, evolving area, it is you. Listen, I know you're busy here at the conference, but you found time to speak with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's Greg Gorbach, ARC, speaking with us today about digital transformation of the enterprise. Thank you for watching.